And here's Isaac. Oh,
Hello.
there he is. We're trying this thing out where we're doing a weekly code jam, just see if we can have some interesting content here to share with y'all. Today we wanted to talk about content projection in Angular. So content projection is kind of like what in Angular, when you build your components, you're kind of like building your new tags. Content projection is a way of putting stuff inside those tags. That's at its purest form. Isaac, do you want to talk more about that? You're like the expert on this stuff.
Sure. So there is basically you basically use the ng content tag, and ng content by itself will just take all the DOM elements and directives that are inside of this. So you got two components. You got the parent component, and then whatever components you put inside of it. And then what the parent component can have its own template, but then you want the user of that component to be able to add some other children inside of it. And what you do is you put the ng content tag inside of that parent component. I got my hand up here. There we go. And you put the ng content inside of your parent component template to show where the user provided children should be dropped in.
Right. So let's see if we can do that here real quick. So I just have this is just a stack blitz that I grabbed. Let me see if I can share that here and see that. There you go. So if you're following along, you can click on that link and follow along with us. So the idea here, so we'd want to take this hello component, and this would be the hello component would be our parent. So we'd want to do something where we said hello, right? Let's get rid of this. And so all we need to do for this just basic content projection, we just say right here, we put an ng content, right? And
yep.
There you go. And now we see hello.
Right. So let's put in some content in that template that's being provided by hello component itself. So maybe we'll wrap it in an h1 tag or
sure.
Make it bold or something.
Okay, let's do
that. The hello component is doing some work, but then it's also using the content that's provided to it from the parent.
Right. Okay. Oh, cool. So now we have the H1 with the content. Cool.
Right.
Hey, we did it. Over.
Okay, thanks everyone. Well done.
No. Well. So this is really cool, but is this all that's helpful by itself? I don't know.
So if you make this a more complicated component where you want to have more than one slot, I guess that you're placing things into, then say you have a title and then you've got a subtitle. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's that. And so we want to have the parent be able to drop in content for the title and the subtitle. And if you do two ng contents here, that's not going to work. Basically, it takes the last ng content and it uses that and ignores the first one. So everything is going inside of H3 right now. So what we want to do is we want to be able to say, hey, let's let the user of this component mark up somehow what should be the title and what should be the subtitle. So we can do that with the select attribute of ng content. And the syntax of select is basically like a query selector or CSS selectors. So you can do a tag, like an HTML tag, or you can do a CSS class. What do you want to do? I don't know, dot title for something with a class of title, and then the second one with something with a class of subtitle.
Yeah, let's do that. That look good?
Yeah, looks great.
And now we got nothing, Isaac. We're going backwards.
No, we broke it. So we need to provide something inside of hello that has those has those classes.
Right. Can we use a container here? An ng container?
Yeah. Let's try it.
Let's try it.
I'm not sure.
I think with what we were looking at yesterday, it will work. I'm not sure why, so I want you to explain why.
Classes don't really make sense for a container, so that class is not going to actually show up in the DOM. If you look at the hello, if you inspect that HTML over there, I don't think there'll be a class on it, so you can't style that.
Right. So if we look at this,
right.
So that hello class is just gone right now, but it was used by the select piece of our ng content right here.
Right.
So it is doing something. It's just not there in the DOM anymore.
Right.
It's interesting.
So if you change the ng container to a div, this I'm not sure about. I'm curious if it brings in the whole div or if it just takes the content of the div. Let's look at it.
Yeah, we get the div too and the class.
So if you have something that actually shows up in the HTML, you can still style it with the same classes that are on it. So let's add in something with the subtitle as well, so we can see how that works. All right, perfect. So now we can specify the title and the subtitle, and then the hello component is in charge of positioning those and wrapping them in whatever other content it wants to wrap it in.
Yeah, so for some ungodly reason we wanted to put the subtitle above, we just move around where that select goes, right? That ng content with the select. That's neat. So we can kind of like rearrange it here inside of our child.
And you can even use these in combination with the plain ng content. You could just add ng content at the bottom, and this let's see what happens. I'm not sure if it will duplicate. I don't think it duplicates the content.
I think it's going to be empty unless, I think if we add something here, just like some test text, then it'll show up at the bottom.
There we go. So everything that hasn't been pulled out by a select will be in the normal ng content.
So what happens, let's say we have multiple things that match that one selector. Cool. That's neat. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay, so it looks like the selector or the select property here is going to take anything that matches and put it in there, and then it's like, so those things are then pruned from this. Is this like a virtual DOM at this point? What's going on here?
So this looks like HTML, but it isn't really HTML because it's got our own custom components and things in here. So it gets processed by the Angular compiler, and the ng content select statement is going in here and cherry picking out the elements that it needs and then rearranging them inside. So that's what's happening at a high level.
Okay, cool. So, well, let's get rid of that. Do we want to look at the sort of the problem we saw with this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so just to introduce the problem, let's say for some reason we wanted sometimes to show this hello and other times to show maybe goodbye. So we'll put like a ngIf structural directive on this one. Hello. Else goodbye, right? And we'll put in sort of down here, we'll have an ng template. So we're just using like the if else here. We're going to call this goodbye. And then we'll just say here's an h1, or we'll just put goodbye here. And so the issue is, let's add to our app component here. We'll say hello equals true. Okay.
There you go.
That's working now. Interesting.
Yeah.
But so however, if we took this ng if, right, and we put it in an ng container and use that to wrap the hello. Is this how we were finding the issue?
Yeah, that's the issue.
Okay. Okay, so now hello is gone. We expect it to be there because we expect the container to just kind of fade away and class to be here for this title class to be here for the parent component, I guess, to select it and consume it and put it in, right?
Yeah. So the issue is if you look at the HTML over there, or at the preview over there, the hello doesn't actually go away. It's actually being dropped into the main content, the main ng content.
Yeah.
So what's happening is it's not being selected by the first ng content select.
Right.
And the reason for that is that the ng content select attribute only looks at the immediate children of the hello component. So it doesn't do all descendants. It'll just do the top level children. So in our case, we've got an ng container there that's wrapping the element that has the class of title on it. So the ng content select will look at the ng container and says it has no class of title. I'll move on to the next one. It looks at the div that has a class of subtitle and it keeps going down and sees I have nothing in here that has a class of title. And it skips right over the grandchild down there.
Yeah. This is interesting. Let me throw in a button here real quick. I just want to see if we can. So if we make this hello property false, will the goodbye show? That's what I'm curious about. Let me see if I can get that in here real quick. Click. Oops. Equals hello equals false.
Hello. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, is that? Yeah. So now if I toggle, it'll switch to goodbye. Okay. So goodbye is not working either here.
Correct. Because goodbye also does not have a class of title on it. You could try wrap goodbye with a class of title, but I still don't think that'll work.
Yeah, let's try that. Div class equals title. All right. Toggle. Yeah, still not working.
Yep.
Okay. So so how do we fix this, Isaac?
Okay.
What do we do?
So let's try going back to the hello component.
Mm-hmm.
And let's use a content child to look for content child. Unlike the ng content select statement, content child will search all descendants.
Okay. And we'll just say this is a child.
We can call it title.
What should we?
Title.
Yeah, let's get this imported.
Yeah.
And okay. And so how do we do this now? It's just like the CSS selector as the string?
Yeah, the CSS selector of the string dot title. And in this case, yeah, the static false or true, either one.
Yeah, I think it is not actually static, right?
False,
and then
look for it if it shows up after the ngF.
What's that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
If it's saying false, it'll keep looking for it after the ngF value changes.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
like true, we'll just look for it once and be done.
Okay, so we do want false here then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then for here, what was it? We want to read.
Let's get to read later.
Okay.
We can do it, and then child is of type. In this case, it's going to be an element ref.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, so let's see, what are we going to do? I want to do a logging out what we're getting from this content child.
Okay. Do you want to just use after content init?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do after content init. It's kind of painful to do this in Stackblitz because you lose all the auto importing and stuff.
Yeah. So while I'm doing this, so after content init is a lifecycle hook that triggers in the component lifecycle. You want to explain it, Isaac? You probably.
Yeah. So basically, it's going to the content child property in this class is initially undefined, and so it's not going to have a value if you just were to console log in a constructor. But if you implement the after content init lifecycle hook, you can guarantee that inside of this ng after content init, it has done a once over on the template and has populated the content child value. Okay.
So we're getting undefined right now.
Yes. Okay. So it is not able to find it. And what is the Angular? There's another one for after content
changed, I think.
Checked, maybe. Yeah, ng after content checked.
Okay. There you go. Getting undefined here too, I think. Let's try.
So maybe content child can't actually do a CSS selector.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so. Do you want to just throw a directive on this real quick?
We could throw a directive, or let's do another. Something that I know will work is we can add a template reference to it.
Okay.
HTML. Just do pound title on it.
We're looking at this one right here.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And then in the hello component, we're just remove that dot.
Right.
And so that should.
There we go. We've got it.
There's the other
now.
And there's the native element. So that gives us access to the element itself. But then there's no great way of dropping it into the Angular template. So it would be nicer if we were to wrap this. If we were to put that title attribute, put that onto a template ref.
Right.
So let's go back to the HTML. We're going to get to that read statement, but let me show the more difficult way of doing it first.
Sure.
So let's wrap that div in an ng template.
Okay. So ng template. There we go. There's some autocomplete in Stackblitz. It's weird.
Yeah, okay. And we'll put that pound title on the ng template itself.
Cool. Okay. So here, now this is no longer a template ref. This is an element ref. This is now a template ref, right?
Yes.
Let's add him up here. There you go. And
then it's going to complain probably because it needs to be a generic template ref any.
Yeah. Well, actually the complaint was it's too large for Stackblitz. So we can see it here now. If we so this was just opening up the preview in a different window.
Well, there's also the red squiggles on the hello component.
Oh, right. Okay, so we could just put any here.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
That generic is to say what type of context you can put inside that template ref. In our case, we're not putting anything inside of it. But okay, so great. So we have a template ref that is found, even though it's not a direct child, it can be found by its by the tag you put on it.
Right. And so here's that template ref object.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's go through and actually print it out and inject it into the template now. Now that we have. So now instead of using ng content select, we need to use a ng container probably, and then use the ng template outlet structural directive. Hey, we might even finish this. We got 10 minutes left.
I know. So this is child, we called it.
Child,
So we
yeah.
are right now, we are referencing the property of the component class that we did here. I think we could, if we're using ng template outlet. So what this structural directive does, you can only apply it to a container, right? An ng container.
Oh, you can put in anything.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, you can make that a div. But what it'll do, it will. I think it. I'm not sure. We'd have to check. I'm not sure if it destroys the container that it's in,
Mm-hmm.
or if it just puts it next to it or inside of it.
Right. But so you pass in a reference to a template, and pretty much that template gets inserted into the element that the directive's on. Correct?
Yeah, it gets. Let's see. Put ask on that. Do a template. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, yeah, it just instantiates that template in that place.
Right.
I'm not sure whether it's inside of or next to the container, but in our case, ng container is not rendered. So usually you use ng container just to make it less confusing.
Right.
Because having a div just show up somewhere is it's unexpected.
Right. But so the point I was trying to make was you can do this for a class property, but you could also, if we had some element in here that was named with the hashtag, we could just use that for the template as well.
Right. If you had your template defined inside of that template directly, that component's template, yeah, you can do that.
Cool. And incidentally, our hello's back now, so this is good.
Yeah, because we're doing we're putting it into the DOM there.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have a template here, but if you go back to the app component HTML, it's kind of a pain to ask our users to create an ng template and then give it a specific name. It just in order to drop it in, because our previous API of just putting a class name on it was a lot simpler and cleaner. So what we could do is we could make a structural directive to actually let's do one step before that. Instead of using the pound title, let's use let's make a and let's call it something other than title. Maybe call it heading. Let's make a directive called heading and put it on the ng template itself.
Okay. So we'll just put it on like this, put heading, and
we
now
a new directive.
And we'll call this.
Call it heading.
Yeah.
And make the selector be heading like that. Yep.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all we need from this directive, right?
That's all we need for that. Is the directive is just there to mark the template that we're concerned about.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, if we go into our hello component, instead of selecting by title on line 17 there.
Yes.
We, instead of using a string, we use heading directive.
And we're gonna have to import this.
Yep.
From heading dot directive. There we go.
So this has the benefit of not cluttering up your namespace. They could use that pound title template ref name for something else that they were using, and our component would not get confused.
Right.
We would know, okay, we're looking for that heading directive, and if it's there, we know that they meant it. But now you can do something else that's really kind of neat. Any directive can be any directive that you're expecting to be on a template ref.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, hold on. We need to fix this because our hello just disappeared.
Yeah, I think we need to read the template ref here, right?
Right. Yes. Let's do that.
I've been wanting to do this the whole time. So what do we put here? Just template ref? The actual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the element, there's lots of objects that we can look at on a specific element in a Angular template. We can look at the directive itself. We can look at the template ref that it's on, or we could also look at the element ref that it's on. And,
Okay.
And what read does is it lets us pick what we care about on that's on that element.
Right. So in this case, we want the template ref.
Yeah.
So that's why we said that here. And so then because of that, we also, this template ref typing makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't put the read on there, it'll default to the directive.
Okay. So that without the read, we were getting here, instead of the template ref, we were getting actually the heading directive, which has nothing on it. Right.
Right.
Got it. Okay. And so now that this is back in, it's a template ref now. So the ng template outlet, it works again.
Yep.
And here's our hello, nice and pretty right there.
Yay.
Cool.
Okay.
Hey, I do have a question here. We got about 5 minutes left. Do you want to just kind of pause here and look at this question real quick, Isaac, or do you want to keep going?
Well, the last step is just some magic.
Okay.
Fun. But can you show how to override CSS styles from the HTML passed inside the ng content?
And shout out to Ben. Ben's an awesome Angular engineer at Narwhal. He's awesome. So thanks, Ben, for watching and commenting.
Override CSS styles. Let's see. So I think he's saying that if in our app component HTML,
yes,
if we set some styles on the div class equals title,
yeah,
he's asking how we could update those, change those styles in the hello component.
Right. Okay. So let's say we made our title green. So we're looking to try to, because we're in the heading or the hello component, we want to control that more and maybe say, no, I'm the hello component. Everything's blue now, for example.
So you could go into the styles here in the hello component and let's try adding dot title and changing the color to something else.
Yeah, that doesn't appear to work.
And so I think what's happening, so if we inspect that element, I think it's a specificity order issue. Title. Oh, I see. Okay. So when you create it, it's not a specificity thing. It's Angular's view encapsulation.
Yes. Okay.
That's taking place here. And so the ng content, that ng content dash gibberish there is its way of doing fake view encapsulation.
Yeah, this is emulated, right?
Right. It's the emulated view encapsulation. So yes. So yeah, you could use Andre. I don't know how to say your last name. Gatej, maybe. He's got a nice comment. He's saying I think it's a good case for ng deep.
Yes. So that's kind of like a way. I think you would call it shadow piercing. So it's saying we're going to target this deep inside of the Angular compiler. Is that essentially what's going on, Isaac?
Not deep inside the Angular compiler. It's basically saying I don't want to add this ng content special attribute onto my CSS. I want it to be a global style. So there's a couple ways of doing that. You could do it for all the styles that you're specifying on your component by just marking the view encapsulation to be none. Or you can do it for a specific rule using the ng deep.
So the ng deep, that would just be right here inside the hello component.
Put it right there into the styles.
Let's just see that working first. Oops.
Now, this is not going to work directly. So if you inspect hello there, you'll see dot title defined twice. So but now it's doesn't have enough specificity to override the green, because the green has the class and the attribute defined on it.
Right.
So we just make our title have more specificity than the other one. And there are lots of ways of doing that. You could do div.title, or you could just give it a let's see what else. You could do body space.title. There are lots of things to do, or put an important on it if you want to go overkill.
Right. So, but the other option, getting rid of ng deep though, is just applying to the. So this is at like the component decorator here, the view encapsulation of none, right?
Yep.
Let's do that because we're running out of time. View encapsulation.
Maybe
is it a string?
Maybe it's encapsulation.
Okay.
And it's not a string. It's here. Let me look it up real quick.
I think it's like a constant like this, right?
Yes.
So is it called view encapsulation?
It is called encapsulation, and
did I spell that right?
Encapsulation. View encapsulation. You need to import from Angular core.
That's what I thought. Like that. Yep, that's a thing. Error in 20.
Paste it back in. You cut it instead of copying it.
Oh, yes.
And then none is, I think. Oh,
there you go.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Green.
That's the same thing. But let's just drop an important on color blue here. And
sure. We're gonna make this blue. Dang it.
We're gonna make this blue.
There we go. It's
now,
blue.
If you comment out the view encapsulation.none, no matter how many importance you put on, it still won't work. If you comment out line 20, I just want to show that this
goes back to green.
It goes back to green. So you can try to make it as specific as you want, but it still won't work.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. The last thing will take 30 seconds, and I want to show it because it's cool. If you go to, without changing the heading directive or the hello component at all, let's go to app-component.html. And you didn't know this, but we were writing a structural directive this whole time.
Yeah.
So let's get rid of that ng template and put star heading on our hello here.
Surprise. That's awesome.
So you can use, so now it's got a nice clean API, and you can select this even down into grandchildren and have it show up where you want it to go.
Right. So the star, really, that's just wrapping this element in a template, right? And applying the directive to it. So essentially, it's just what we had. This is functionally the same as the template we had before.
Right. This is exactly the same thing. It's just a sugared syntax. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. Hey, this was lots of fun. We're over time now, but I really appreciate Ben and Andre for commenting and watching, and everyone for watching. I'm looking forward to next week. It'll be fun.
Yeah, this will be fun.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Isaac.
All right. Thanks. Bye,
See y'all
everyone.
next week.